Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to another episode of the most offensive podcast ever. Okay, right now I am going to talk to you about an article that came out in republicworld.com. It was here's how implementation of martial law in Russia affects Russian civilians. Now, I gotta tell you, this was March 3rd, 2022. We're now in August 19. Okay, so this describes what Putin would try to implement in Russia. Okay, so now that we see this, let me jump into this. Okay, this came about today, where Putin declares martial law in occupied territories in Ukraine. If this signifies the movement towards nuclear war or World War III, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, I think this is a yes, right? This is not no scare tactic or no clickbait type of stuff, and I really believe we should be paying attention to this because somewhere along the line, you're going to have to make a conscious decision as to how are you going to protect your family should something of cataclysmic destruction happens, because it's going to be pandemic-ish style where we're going to be on lockdown. And if you're on lockdown, you got to have nourishment, you got to have food, you got to have some type of entertainment, which will be the least of importance. You're going to have you're going to need some type of way to get in touch with reports, okay? AM, FM, radio, okay? So you're going to have perishable items, food, okay? You're going to need water, all right? So those are the things that I think you're going to have your minds thinking, because we're going to a place, or we're inching near a place that we've never inched before, okay? And that's World War III. That's a nuclear war, some type of devastation that is really going to paralyze the world. And what are you going to do? How are you going to keep nourished? How are you going to quench your thirst? What are you going to do to try and stay alive within those times? Now, before I play this video, let me read to you exactly what is martial law, just in case you were wondering. Over here, martial law involves the temporary substitution of military authority for civilian rule, all right, for civilian rule, and is usually invoked in time of war. So what does that mean? We're inching closer to something cataclysmic, whether it's war, whether it's a natural disaster, whether it's some type of pandemic, whatever it is, we're inching closer towards that. Now, when martial law is in effect, the military commander of an area or country has unlimited authority, all right, to make and enforce laws. So if that's his mentality and that's what he is thinking, look for it to get even worse. The man is desperate. Okay? Now, not to hide from you, buttons are being pushed on the side of Ukraine and whoever is siding with them, also to provoke Russia into these type of, can it be defense or offense? I don't know. But to those on the outside or inside, right? Maybe I should say outside looking in and not really knowing what's going on, we need to be prepared. Okay? Now that I described to you what martial law is and the power that the government has over the land that they are trying to take over or conquer, you know that civilians are in tremendous trouble. And you know that somehow, one way or another, Ukraine could be or is in the process of being an ally of NATO, which means U.S. can get involved. So let me just play this so you can get an idea as to what is going on.
We turn now to the war in Ukraine, the ominous move from Vladimir Putin tonight in a televised address. Putin imposing martial law in the 4 Ukrainian territories he illegally annexed. So what does this now signal? Russia also announcing the mass evacuation of civilians from the key southern city in Ukraine of Kherson. Again, a signal of what could be coming. And what Secretary of State Antony Blinken told our George Stephanopoulos late today. Here's our chief foreign correspondent Ian Pannell in Kharkiv tonight.
As Ukraine and Russia exchanged new rocket and missile strikes today, Vladimir Putin declared martial law in the 4 regions of Ukraine that Russia's illegally annexed. It gives authorities there more power to crack down, control, even mobilize the population. Putin also ordered new emergency powers for the heads of all the regions within Russia itself. It's a sign that more sweeping new restrictions may lie ahead for the Russian people as Putin's war unravels. And it is unravelling in the strategic southern city of Kherson today, the only regional capital held by Moscow, where Russian-backed authorities began the forced evacuation and removal of some 60,000 civilians. A pro-Kremlin official claimed it was to protect them, but Ukrainian officials warned Russia wants to use them as human shields. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken telling George Stephanopoulos Putin is getting desperate.
And saying that he's declaring martial law in places that he claims have people who somehow want to be part of Russia, that speaks to his desperation.
We met some of the 92nd Brigade today who led the fighting in Kharkiv and are now heading east.
We've come to a position with Ukrainian soldiers who've been on the front line. This is where they've just moved back to. They've been active in this fight since the war began. And you can see how well some of their positions are now hidden from Russian targets.
Many of these soldiers were civilians 8 months ago.
What's it like? How tough is it really out there?
Vadim used to be a teacher. He says war is terrifying, but you get used to everything. His comrade Ivan, who used to be a pre-med student, agrees. War is terrible, he says. We all feel it here, but we do our job as best we can.
Well, this move by Vladimir Putin is prompting a number of fears, David. He's already mobilised reservists, rounded up conscripts, even released prisoners, and now we have these draconian new powers. But I think tonight the biggest fear of all is that Putin follows through on his biggest threat to potentially use a nuclear weapon here. David?
Ian Pannell, our chief foreign correspondent in Ukraine tonight. Ian, our thanks to you again. And we should mention we'll have much more of George's interview with Secretary of State Blinken. That's tomorrow morning right here on Good Morning America.
Dude, I don't know what is going to happen, but we need to prepare. We need to get ready. I don't know if it's going to affect America, how it's going to affect America, but I know one thing. We're going to be affected one way or another. And it's really times like these, you got to get together with your family and have a survival plan. Have a survival plan right now. Try to search. See which foods last the longest. I have to say that. I mean, I got to do that myself. If whatever I do, I will make a video of that as to what my planning is like, or I'll share someone who may have a good plan. And I think we should really take that serious, because if something should happen, at least you're ready. At least you're not out there in the market, in the stores, fighting over certain items. Just know now something is coming. if, let's just say for instance, nothing comes, it's better to be prepared. Put it that way. And by the looks of things, yeah, something is happening. Okay? Well, this is the video. This is something I just wanted to really share with you. Hope you take heed to the words that I shared with you in terms of planning, you know, and make sure that you try to come together with a group, work out a plan, whether you have neighbors or something. How are you going to have each other's backs? Because it's times like this where we cannot fight amongst ourselves. We got to come together and watch each other, okay? Have each other's backs. So that's all I got to say. And not that I like taking news that is coming from the liberal, right? Because there's always an agenda. But just know that I am just using that channel just to kind of convey a particular type of message. And that message really is something is coming. And let's be prepared. Like this video. Share this video. Comment on this channel. Okay? Subscribe. Let's get this video out. Okay? It's extremely important. And share with me your thoughts. I want to know what's in your mind. Okay? I'm Slimmy V, and this is the most offensive podcast ever. God bless, stress less, and let Yahweh do the rest. I'm out. Peace.